Welcome back to the Press Box, everybody. Zach Miller, Mark Haskell here for another edition. We're going to start with our tournament time because it's still tournament time. Sweet 16 kicks off Thursday in our VillageSoup Bracket Challenge. Mark and I, well, we're bottom dwellers.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's still bracket time for me.
Yeah, I think you're like next to last.
Yeah, I think we had what, 29 people sign up.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I'm
28th. I think I'm 22nd right now. But, we were talking about this earlier. We both took some big swings in the bracket because if you don't take those swings, those home runs will happen.
That's how you make the points.
And then either way, your bracket's busted because you didn't take the swing, or it's busted because you did take the swing. And for us, it's because we took the swing.
It just sounds like we're making excuses for why we suck so bad at this,
well,
doesn't
it? Because you never know. It's a tournament, right? We both had Wofford going pretty far. Granted, they almost did beat Kentucky. I was watching the end of that game, and I was like, come on.
That was a 62-56 game. I took Wofford to the Elite Eight. I took Belmont out of the first four. They were the 11 seed. I took them all the way to the Sweet 16. They lost to Maryland in the first round.
I didn't have them going that far. I didn't even have them beating Maryland.
Maryland won that game, and then I had Kansas State going to the Elite Eight, and they lost to UC Irvine in the first round. Obviously there were a couple small upsets, but for the most part, it was a lot of chalk. It was a lot of just higher seeds just winning. I mean, not like in dominating fashion, but there weren't a lot of huge upsets. There weren't a lot of buzzer beaters. It was kind of don't get me wrong, the first four games of the tournament are so much fun to watch. So you're flipping back and forth and everything like that. But a lot of predictable teams that moved on. Yeah,
the biggest upset was UC Irvine taking down Kansas State, the 13 over the 4 seed.
Yep.
But for 1 seed wise, I think the biggest scare either four of them had was when Virginia was down at halftime.
Yes.
16 seed. And you're thinking, here we go again, 2 years in a row. The 16 seed is going to get their second win ever over a 1 seed. But obviously it didn't happen. Virginia came out and just wrecked the floor against, I forget, who were they playing?
They were down like 6, and I honestly I can't remember the name of the team either. Like they were, but it was they were down 6 at halftime, and I remember thinking, oh my God, this can't happen to them again, right?
Yeah.
But they owned the second. Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb, that's what it was. Yeah. And they owned Gardner-Webb in the second half, and they ended up winning the game by like 16, 18 points or something.
Duke had a little bit of trouble in their game for the first half, and they came out and blew the doors off of Northern Kentucky or Northern somebody.
Northern someone. Not gonna work here anymore anyway. They're gone. But then obviously the second game of the tournament for Duke against UCF, and 7'6" Taco Fall. Now I know you didn't get to see this game.
I get to see it now.
And I didn't watch every single game of the first few rounds. But to me, that was by far the game of the tournament.
Yeah, that's what the score was indicative of it. Duke won by 1 point and came down to the last second.
Came down to a last-second tip, I took Duke all the way to the Elite Eight. I have them losing to Michigan State going to the Final Four. So I was really rooting for UCF to pull the upset, because then, all the teams in front of me that, picked Duke to go to the Final Four or to the national championship or winning it all are not getting points for that. So all of a sudden, I'm falling in love with UCF and Taco Fall and everything like that. And Zion, he makes a great 3-point play at the end of the game. They're down 1, and then he ends up fumbling the ball out of bounds. They end up getting the ball back, and then they go up by 1. Taco Fall fouls out of the game, and they drive down, and they've got a good look at a layup, and they've got a good look at a tip. But Taco Fall fouled out of the game 10 seconds earlier. You got to think that if he hadn't fouled out of that game, he would have been right there for that tip and the flush, and UCF would be in the Sweet 16 right now.
That would be a big upset.
It would be a huge upset, probably bigger than UMBC beating Virginia as the number 1 seed last year. I mean, especially because of Zion Williamson.
I think it's because of Zion Williamson, but I still wouldn't put it over the UMBC thing last year, because that was the first time it's ever happened.
No, you're right. You're right. On paper, a 16 beating a 1, that's always more impressive. But beating Zion Williamson and the highly touted Duke Blue Devils.
James,
right, exactly, because that's how he's being touted right now, for sure.
It is. But anyway, let's get to the VillageSoup Bracket Challenge standings.
Yes.
We touched on it earlier. But
yes, we told everybody that we were going to run through the top 5, so everybody kind of has an idea of where we're shaking out as of now. So we have a tie for 5th place. James Sturks of Thomaston and our very own Holly Van North Spicer, sitting in 5th place with 52 combined points. Jimmy, he has North Carolina winning it all, Tennessee, Florida, and North Carolina in his Final Four. And Holly, who has Duke winning it all, has Virginia, Gonzaga, and North Carolina. What is it about Holly? I mean, we have her on here. She talks the World Cup. She predicts Croatia's going to go to the finals, and they do. They go the whole way through, and now she's in the top 5 in the bracket challenge. Unbelievable.
Can't put anything past her.
Sitting number 4 right now is Benji Blake. Benji Blake, he took Michigan State to win it all. He's also got Villanova, so he lost Final Four team. It's probably going to hurt him. He's probably going to fall down the bracket here a little bit later on. But he's got Villanova, Michigan, and Michigan State as his others. We also have a tie for second place. We have my boy, Ryan Verrill. He also picked Duke. He's got 55 points overall. He's got Duke, Purdue, Gonzaga, and UNC. And Meredith Swears from Vinyl Haven, out of nowhere.
She got some love on Facebook from a couple of her fans.
There are some people on Facebook very excited for her. And she took Duke, and she's also got Virginia, Texas Tech, which is kind of a wild card, but you got to pick those games every once in a while, and North Carolina as her 4. And sitting number 1 right now is Mike Robichaud of Rockland. He's got 57 points. He's got Gonzaga winning it all, along with Virginia, Michigan State, and North Carolina. Yeah, Gonzaga's a good pick. I mean, especially when you're looking at all these. Pretty much, there's just a lot of Duke and a lot of North Carolina. I took North Carolina. Who'd you take?
I took North Carolina too, but I had Gonzaga. I was back and forth between the Zags and the Tar Heels. I had the Gonzaga, and then I picked the Tar Heels. So that means that Gonzaga's going to win. It doesn't really matter at this point because I'm just sucking pond water at the bottom of the bracket with you.
We have to hope for some miracles to happen for sure. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up that sitting in 8th place is my girl, Jen Haskell. She's got 49 points, and she's got North Carolina winning it all. She took Gonzaga. She also has Villanova, so she's lost a Final Four team too. And she took LSU, so that's another kind of weird team. Sometimes you got to just pick a team like that. I'll tell you what, LSU, their Sweet 16 game, you know who really impressed me in the first 2 rounds was Auburn.
Yeah, well, they won the SEC championship game. I think they won the SEC championship game.
But that was the first time that I'd really seen Auburn. I mean, they had a lot of grit, and I had them losing to Auburn was the 5 seed. I had whoever they played in the first round, that was the 12. I had them losing to the 12.
The upsets of the tournament.
Yeah, and I had Auburn losing in that first round, and I watched their second round game, and I went, wow, they're the real deal. I mean, they could definitely go in there and beat LSU, no question. You know what I mean?
It'll be a good game.
But
LSU almost lost to Maryland. They beat them by like 1 point, I think, 1 or 2 points. So that was another good game.
Yeah, but the Sweet 16 is coming up. It's starting on Thursday. We'll have 4 games Thursday, 4 games Friday, and then I think it's 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday. And then we have our Final Four.
Yep, the next week.
Yeah, so next week when we meet up, we'll be talking. We'll have a lot more points on the board here, and we'll be talking Final Four stuff. And we'll probably we might have a brand new top 5. Holly will probably be first.
Holly
overall.
probably.
Unbelievable.
She's just gonna go undefeated the whole time, probably. Anyway, let's change balls here and go to football because the Patriots are losing one of their best, and if not.
Tom Brady?
The best? No, not yet. He's still kicking.
Okay.
I know, but Rob Gronkowski, and he's another player that I'm sure a bunch of other defensive players around the league are happy to see him go. Sad because it's a blow to the league because he's one of the best players in the league and a hell of a personality off the field.
Yeah.
And he didn't get into trouble off the field, but he's just a fun guy to just watch what he does.
Tide
He had fun. Yeah, he had fun.
No, I do like you all know that I don't like the Patriots, but I like most people. I do love me some Gronk. He's a good dude. He's kind of a meathead a lot of the time, but he's also he's fun. He's good locker room material, and he's a good teammate. Everybody really nobody speaks a bad word about him, and he's if he's a guy if he played for the Eagles, he'd probably be my favorite player ever. But he's already going down as the best tight end to ever do it. I mean, and anybody that's saying otherwise, I mean,
9 years.
Could you make the argument for a Tony Gonzalez or something? You could do that if you really wanted to. But I mean, if you look at the high level of productivity that he had for such a short amount of time, there was nobody better that did it.
Yeah,
no question.
115 games in his career. 521 receptions for 7,861 yards in 9 seasons.
Yeah,
which is impressive. He had 79 touchdowns since he joined the league in 2010, which led the NFL in that time span. He had 10 or more touchdown receptions in 5 seasons, which is the most in NFL history by a tight end. In 16 playoff games, he had 81 receptions for 1,163 yards and 12 touchdowns, which are all records for a tight end. He also had 12 postseason touchdowns, which is tied for second in NFL history behind Jerry Rice.
A yard shy of 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of liked the way he went out though.
Yeah.
He really didn't make any big plays in that Super Bowl against the Rams, but made that big catch at the end, and he was right at the goal line, at the goal line, and it was just a perfect little pattern. It was just a nice catch over the shoulder, fell down. I mean, if he'd have jumped a little higher, his momentum might have carried him into the end zone for the touchdown. But I think it's just kind of apropos for everything that he's done. It's not it wasn't always about the touchdowns. It was just about he was just such a physical force. I mean, like,
And a good blocker.
linebackers, safeties. I mean, like, he was a matchup problem for literally everybody. Even in the Super Bowl, he torched us in the Super Bowl. I mean, we were like, and he scored the touchdown that put them ahead of us briefly before we came back. I had to get that in there one more time, but no, he was like, he was phenomenal. I mean, there's like he's by far the best tight end to ever do it.
And people were debating on Twitter. I was looking at it, looking at Twitter, if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And it's like, yeah, he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer with all the stats that he has and all the records that he has. And he did it in 9 seasons. Tony Gonzalez played for almost 15 years in the league.
Yeah, and like in the last 3-4 years, he was pretty pedestrian.
Yeah, he didn't really have.
He was fine.
He has all those records because he had such a long time span. Don't get me wrong, Tony Gonzalez was a hell of a tight end.
No question.
But Rob Gronkowski was on a different level. If you had to pick between the two for a starting tight end on your team, everybody's going to pick Gronk over Tony Gonzalez.
Let me ask you a question. All I'm hearing now is like, oh, well, he's going to come out of retirement in the middle of the season and help us win another Super Bowl. Do you really think he's going to do that?
I don't think so, because I think he's, the past couple of years at the end of the seasons, there's always been that rumor that he may retire.
Mm-hmm.
And he has all that injury history, with his back and his broken arm, that he still wears that big,
It's like an air cast.
Yeah, brace
kind of
or something
yeah.
over it for it. So he knows that his body is taking a lot of hits. And if you read his interview kind of going out or before the Super Bowl, he talks about how the injuries and football itself just wears down on your body. And he's going to be 30 this year.
Yeah.
And 30 is getting on the back half of your career, and you're the old men of the group when you hit that 30 or Brady's 40s. But I think he's done, and I think people are speculating that he's actually going to go into like WWE and do that because that whole
I don't like if he doesn't want to have concussions, that's not the business to go
well,
into. I'm sure he can do something else.
It's fake and staged and all that. And he
Wait,
did a couple.
what?
You didn't know that?
What did you just say?
What?
I'm not going to hear that.
No.
WrestleMania is coming up next weekend.
Doesn't make it any less fun, Mark.
No.
But you saw him when he did wherever the WWE was. I think it was at Gillette Stadium outside when they did that, and he was there and made that appearance and seemed to have fun with it. And that's what people are speculating, that he might go that route, do more show business type things where it's less of a burden on his body. But who knows what he'll do? I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I just think that people that are acting like that he should come back or that he owes the Patriots this or he should want to win another Super Bowl. It's like, you know what? Dude just went out on top. I mean, that's the way you want to go out, and it's always good to try to go out a year or two too early rather than a year or two too late.
It's true. You
know what I mean? When everyone's like, oh man, you should have went out. You won the Super Bowl. You should have went out then. Like, now you're kind of breaking down and you're kind of a shell of your former yourself.
Antonio
He's
Gates.
Still going out at the peak of his powers in a lot of ways. Like I said, like offensively this year, he wasn't what he had been, but he was contributing in so many other ways. I mean, we talked about how great New England's offensive line played throughout the playoffs. I mean, Gronk was a big part of that.
Yeah, and his blocking will be sorely missed on that tight end spot because that was very underrated for him.
And I mean, we found out early enough. Well, I say we, like I'm a Patriots fan, but found out early enough that you can still address that problem in the draft.
Exactly.
I mean,
or free agency.
Well, a lot of the tight ends are already gobbled up now.
Bennett, if you're watching, it's time to come home.
And Jared Cook just signed with the Saints. That would have been a good get for the Patriots. He would have been a nice fit. But I mean, there are tight ends out there to be had in the draft, and they'll probably find the next Rob Gronkowski.
Well, I mean, think about when Gronk came out in 2010. He came out of Arizona. They got him in the second round. He slid to the second round only because he had all those back problems in college. People are like, well, he's got all those back problems. I'm not going to touch him. And then the Patriots are like, yeah, come over here, and turns into a Hall of Famer. So it's like you never know who you're going to get. Of course, the Patriots will wind up going and get some undrafted free agent, and they'll wind up being a Hall of Famer because that's just what Bill Belichick seems to do pretty well.
Well, go ahead and tip out a Tide Pod for the old big guy. He had a hell of a career, 9 years, 3 Super Bowls, and definitely going to go down as the best tight end of all time. So,
but as Gronk moves on, we move into baseball season.
2 days.
2 days.
We're shooting this on Tuesday.
Thursday. It could be today.
It's real baseball.
Depending on when you're watching.
Depending on when you're watching this. You're right. Yeah.
Right, I can't believe it. That was fast, right? It seems like the Sox just won the World Series back in October, and we're already in a new season. And we were talking about this before we started. The Sox have an 11-game West Coast road trip? 10
yeah,
games?
10. Yeah, they start with a 4-game set at Seattle, and then a 4-game set at Oakland, and then a quick brief stopover in Arizona for 2 against the Diamondbacks, and then they're going home to open things against Toronto.
It's really like an 11 game because they're going to have that day off probably before they start their home opener, which sucks because all the games are going to be at 10, 10:30.
Well, the first game on Thursday, that's actually going to be, that'll be a 4 o'clock start on the West Coast, so it'll be a 7 o'clock start for us, because usually the teams' home openers, they have them a little earlier. Like whenever the Red Sox home opener against Toronto will be, that's going to be a 2 o'clock start.
Yeah.
So they usually start them,
Yeah,
but then after that, like, sorry guys, you're watching 10 o'clock baseball games for 2+ weeks.
I won't be watching baseball games at 10 o'clock. I'll be in bed.
That's right. No, you're going to be in Florida.
Yeah, but I'll still be in bed.
Yeah, but you're going to get out and get a little R&R.
Actually, I may be able to watch it because when my parents live in Florida, they were actually in the Central Time Zone, so they're an hour back. So the game will start at 9. So maybe I'll be able to watch like a half hour of it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. If
Like
Everett lets you sleep.
Oh, he's been fine so far. In the past month and a half, he's been sleeping through the night, which is good.
Attaboy.
But the Red Sox and Red Sox fans, as us, because we're both Red Sox fans, Chris Sale is going to be in a Red Sox uniform for a long time, which is nice to see.
5-year, $145 million extension he signed this past week, and I think it's a great move. Obviously, much has been made about Mike Trout getting his $430 million contract. Deserved, yes. And what that could possibly mean for Mookie Betts. Will he sign? Will he not sign? Right now he's talking about like how he wants to test free agency and things like that. So I think a lot of people are talking about that. But this Sale signing, I mean, some people are kind of poo-pooing it, saying that it's it's too much money, or not too much money, but too many years.
Because Sale's what, 29, 28,
I think
30?
he's 29 or 30, yeah.
Somewhere around there. So, I mean, it's not, that A-Rod deal, they gave him like 10 years and $200 million a couple, 10, 12 years ago.
I like the move. I mean, like, moves like this, I mean, like, there's going to be risk. I mean, like, could his arm fall off in 2 years? Yeah, totally could. Could he get Tommy John surgery in 3 years? Absolutely. That could also happen. But I feel like it's a good gamble. But I also feel like Red Sox management, and obviously Alex Cora, they need to do a really good job managing his innings. I mean, early in the season, like, April and May when it's cold out, I mean, there's no reason for a guy like that to be going out and pitching 8 innings, 9 innings, just because he can, just because he's an innings eater.
It seemed to help last year.
Obviously, the Red Sox bullpen is a big question mark at the start of the year, so maybe we might have to lean on him a little more. But you gotta really manage this guy, and you gotta maybe have somebody in the wings waiting for a spot start every once in a while, and trying to take it easy on him, and maybe once the summertime goes, really ramp him up. I mean, I'm not saying wrap him in bubble paper or anything like that, but at the same time, that's a big investment. Let's just not burn him out in April and May.
Yeah, and. When they signed? Yeah, they didn't really lose anybody from their starting lineup. I don't think. I think everybody's still back. I think Mookie has one more year.
Yep.
Before he gets into free agency.
Yeah, but obviously Pedroia will be back at some point.
I think I'm under the
No, let's hear it. Let's air it out. Let's hear it.
Mindset that it's time to let Pedroia go. It's he didn't play. He played what, 3 games last year. He's still not ready to go. He's played in a couple spring training games, but he's going to start the year on injured reserve. It's time. He was great. He helped us win a couple titles. When did he come in the league? 07, so it's 12 years ago already.
Yeah. I mean, what? No, it was 06. I believe
got the bad knee.
But what were we just talking about with Rob Gronkowski? He got out a year or 2 early.
Yeah.
Pedroia is getting out a couple years late.
I think it's
time, you know what I mean? He should have just walked away from the game gracefully last year. And he would have got a nice send-off. But now all of a sudden, you're looking at him like, hey, are you messing with our 25-man roster, man? I really don't know what you're going to bring to the table. He doesn't have the range at second base anymore. I think Nunez will probably be doing a lot more work at second base. So what's he going to do? Take up our DH spot? I'm pretty sure he's not going to do that. Well, of course, we've also got Steve Pearce starting the season on the DL. I'm calling it DL. I don't care. I'm not calling it IL. He's starting on the DL. Sandy Leon gets cut. So he's gone. There are a lot of moving parts. But I'm in camp with you, and I'm a big Pedroia guy. I love Pedroia.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that his mind really can't accept the fact that his body can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I think I have to remember correctly, but I think the surgery he had on his knee was to replace all the cartilage or something, the meniscus or something in his knee. That's a big surgery, and he's still not ready from it after missing all of last year. So it's been over a year.
Yeah.
And it's, he's in his 30s. You just got a huge knee replacement. The last thing you want to do is go out there, dive at second, and just rip everything up again.
Yeah.
And then you got to go through that all over again. It's not fun.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
As much as we love Pedroia.
Well, now I feel like we've ended the show on a really sad note talking about Dustin Pedroia,
Yeah, right.
but we are going to end the show right now. We're going to get out of here. Zach's going off to Florida.
Yep.
We'll be, but he'll be back next week, and so will I. We'll be ready to talk some Final Four, and the Reds, the Celtics and the Bruins. Playoffs are coming up for them rapidly.
The Celtics are stuck in pond water.
Yeah,
again.
we can talk about how I guess Kyrie didn't help the team after all.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Maybe that plane ride didn't
Flash
help the
in
team.
the pan.
Yep. So man, the Celtics, they're just so.
We'll save that for next
brutal.
week.
Yeah. We can't start on this yet, but yes, we'll talk about the Celtics and how they're going to lose to the Pacers in the first round next week. Until then, I'm Mark. This is Zach, and this has been the Press Box.